person arrives at AT, the next step then is to make sure that they have filled out a qualified presentation report and to make sure that all of the information on the report is accurate, so we can help them, just like we said in the training seminar, that we were using the qualified presentation report to help them to become a better representative. So at the beginning of your advanced training, it's always a good idea to take a few minutes, have your representatives, if they have not already done so, put their orders on the Vector Connect system and have them roll load. To also then have them, during those first few minutes when they get there early, to fill out their qualified presentation report. Most representatives probably will not have filled it out completely or as accurately as you would want them to. So to make sure they have everything filled in, from how much the person purchased on their CPO, to make sure they understand CPO, make sure they have down the reasons people did not buy, just making sure they have their number of leads down there, things of that type, or all the things that you look for. Make sure their name and their rep numbers on it. Make sure all those things are happening. So this way, what you can do is, as representatives turn these in, and as reps are kind of working on qualified presentation reports, getting orders online, turning in their orders, all the appropriate things at the beginning of an advanced training, you can take the qualified presentation reports and put some notes on them. The easy things to look for whenever you look for notes, the first and foremost is making sure that they have all the names and all the phone numbers and all the addresses and everything, just for verification's sake, if you ever needed to do that. The second thing to look for then is where it says husband, wife, and single, and making sure that the person did see, a qualified customer, a MAC, a married person who's 30 to 60 who has a house, preferably. So you can look at things on the sheet. You can look and see things. If a rep was struggling, as an example, and you saw a lot of, they lived at 700 Main Street, apartment 302. Well, obviously we know from that that person is a apartment person. Even if it said 700 Main Street and 3 other people had the same address of 700 Main Street, we obviously know from that that person must live in an apartment, or they were doing multiple demos of the same people in the same house, which obviously would cause a problem whatever way you slice it. Then other things to look for is on the husband, wife, and single, looking for making sure that the wife was there on a presentation. As an example, on this particular qualified presentation report, this individual, their very first appointment was with a husband by themselves, which obviously they had a no sale on. Then their next appointment was a husband and a wife together, and they sold a studio set on it. Their next appointment was a wife by themselves, and they did not have a sale. Then they had a couple of single people after that with no sales, and then later they have another wife who bought. So if I was a manager, I would want to circle the fact that when they did a demo with a wife, they had about 50% of their people buy, and the average order size, on these particular orders that this individual had on this presentation report was around $200. So in that respect, I would tell a person, listen, if we could get you to do 10 appointments with wives, you would have had 5 orders, and from those 5 orders, you'd have probably been over $1,000 and got your first pay raise. So because of that, I use the presentation report as a motivation for them to do demos the right way, not as a way to be upset at them or to mismanage them, but a way to manage them appropriately in the process. So I have them fill it out, I review it, I would look for things, like I said, to make sure that the people, if somebody, by the way, had great success on their first weekend, I would obviously compliment the fact that they did multiple appointments with the right kind of people. If a person did get sales from single people or from husbands by themselves, I would still address the fact that the best customers are still wives. If a person got average results, just 50-60% of the people buying average order sizes of 200, 250, in those kind of numbers, I look for the same thing. And then the below average results, obviously, are the ones where I try to make sure I circle and I put little notes down at the bottom of the presentation report. And then at the end of the advanced training, or at the beginning, depending on time, I will then mention to them, say, hey, when you do the next set of appointments, your next set of 10, I would really like to see these things happen. That they would only have the wife there, or the husband and the wife. It would be a married person. That we wouldn't show any more single people, because as you can see, your single people really didn't buy, and that's what we have a tendency to find. That the people who lived over here in apartments weren't the best customers. Like, all these things would be communicated to the person at the end of the advanced training. So again, what am I using? I'm using the qualified presentation report to manage the representative to do more activity, more of the right activity in the process. And those are things that I look for as I go.